right, everyone. Welcome to a new year with the MMOs.com podcast, episode 205. And Altai here, joined this year by
Remo. And there it is, this year, Altai.
2020.
2020, and there's still no good MMOs to play, huh?
Still, well, here's the question, though. Will this be a clear year for MMORPGs? 2020 vision?
Listen, I see what you did there with 2020. I do think there's more hope this year than other years. I did want to jump pretty quickly into our Game of the Year section because we did mention a few upcoming games we're hyped for and what was good this last year and whatnot. But I had a couple buddies over, and my friend mentioned something to me, and it kind of made me think. Makes me feel really old. I know we were talking the pregame about getting old. And we're not that old. You know, you're 31, I'm 30. And my buddy, he's 30 as well. He mentioned, like, do you think you're ever going to be like top 1% at a game again? Altai, what do you think?
No.
Oof, feels bad. Like I was really good at League. I was really good at StarCraft 2. I was really good, like, at a lot of games I did. Even Dota 2 back when I was first playing. I would say maybe, I don't know if I was top 1% back then for Dota 2, maybe like top 2-3%. But nowadays, I think the last game I was top 1% at was probably still League of Legends. It's kind of hard to combine MMOs into it because, like, yeah, you could find like your raid parses. You could be a 99 parse in certain fights. But like if you're 99 parse in everything, I guess I would consider that top 1%. But MMOs are kind of like a different beast, and you're really just optimizing at that point. I think it's still get 99s in Final Fantasy 14, but that's not really a good benchmark. So to me, I do see it kind of difficult, kind of visualizing myself being top 1% in like any competitive game again. You know, I feel like we're getting old. Our reflexes are dying.
I think we're getting old, definitely, but I think there's a bigger trend too, and that's a trend of the scope of the gaming industry. Mm-hmm. Like when we were growing up, right, 10, 11, 12, how many kids were there playing even like Dota 1, even like Smash Brothers Melee at that time?
Yeah, nobody.
Like very few, because especially competitively. Because
Mm-hmm.
the logistics weren't there. And even if there was like a million globally, right? Now with like Fortnite, there's like 100 million people playing Fortnite. So to beat 1% of Fortnite, you gotta be like crazy with your, with the building, like.
Even like if you think about like when we were playing SNES, growing up, whether it's Mega Man X or Donkey Kong Country, compare Donkey Kong Country, Altai, or Mega Man X, right, on the SNES, so any like new age Nintendo Switch, like Mario Kart Switch, where the game literally plays itself for you. Like Mario Kart Switch has a default autopilot mode on where if you hold A and you close your eyes, you will go through the entire stage successfully. Okay, you couldn't do that back in like any old school SNES game. These games were more hardcore. So I guess if you were able to play Donkey Kong Country or Mega Man X, you were like probably top 1% by today's standards. So if you look at it that way,
yeah, I think gaming was just a smaller niche. So because of here's some problematic language here, but like gatekeeping, right? The difficulty of games itself was gatekeeping, right? Like if your family bought you one of these platformers when you were like 10, and you couldn't beat the first level, you probably got turned off from gaming, But
so I guess it's possible. I feel like I could probably still be top 1% in a game like TFT or Dota Underlords and stuff like that, because that's more game knowledge, where reflexes aren't as important the way they are.
Hearthstone, maybe people play a lot.
Yeah, Hearthstone and stuff like that too. But I feel like I've never really been like committed to Hearthstone or any CCG. I've played a lot of Shadowverse and Hearthstone, but like not enough to like really be good at those games.
But I think we have to recapture that sense of competition locally. One of the great things about those older style games, like whether it's fighting games, arcade, or like early consoles, is you didn't have to be the best in the world. If you were just kind of competing with your own school grade, right, or like friend group, that was enough for a sense of competition, a sense of success, a sense of like pecking order. So I think hopefully I kind of want us to go more in that direction rather than just trying to compete with some kids in China who play 18 hours a day,
But do you think like the current like trend of matchmaking in online games have like kind of made kids like lose self-esteem? Like there was always a kid who was like, oh yeah, I'm the best. Like I've never lost a game of like Mortal Kombat. I've never lost a game of like Smash Brothers. And like back then, like there was no online play for these games. You just played locally. And that kid's probably not lying. So he in his mind, he was like really good, right? He might have thought he was like the best ever, right? But because there was no online play to kind of like smush you and let you realize how shitty you actually are, like people felt good about themselves. But now with online play, nobody feels good about themselves. Everybody knows there's somebody better than them. Like everybody knows there's always somebody better than them. But back then you could pretend like, yo, I am undefeated. I play Bowser. I don't know how to do anything in Melee, but I beat all my friends who suck, and we play with items only because that's how we roll.
That's a good point. I never thought of that. But so I think I really do. Matchmaking is an engine for frustration. Because
yes, that's interesting.
Even if you were not good, there was literally the case that in your friend group you would win 90% of the matches, right? You still lose some, but 90% of you would win. But online, if you do matchmaking, everybody wins exactly 50.1%, right? Because as you get better, it puts you against better people. So you can never win more than 50% of your games. So you never get to feel like you achieved anything, because you never get to feel like, okay, I'm good, I can relax. Because it's always a razor's edge, your next matchmaking match.
That's a good point. Maybe that's why a lot of people get pretty toxic on games like League and Dota, where because you're always winning like about 50%, and I feel like you kind of know it's designed that way, but then it makes the loss streak feel exceptionally bad. Where like if you lose like 6 games in a row and you're like, oh my god, I fell so far. I was supposed to win 50%, but I didn't. Am I horrible? What's going on? Must be my teammates. F those guys. Like if it does create an engine of frustration in an interesting way. It's obviously an unintended mechanic, though I still think it's still a net positive. I think because
I don't think so.
It has to be a net positive. Otherwise, every game company in the world wouldn't do it.
Well, it's just easier to make a game online than co-op. I think nobody's cracked the code of making co-op a local competitive popular. There's a few companies we talked about in the past, like Super League Gaming and stuff, trying to organize small local tournaments for certain games. I know even the local Dave and Buster's clone, what's it called? Games Shop or something. They're trying to do like local esports tournaments. But somehow they haven't really caught the zeitgeist.
That's true. Everything is kind of defaults to like this matchmaking now. You're always competing against people online. Though I would say Nintendo still kind of has that couch gaming feel with a lot of their titles, only because Nintendo Online just tends to suck ass. Not by like I'm sure they wanted to go the matchmaking route, and they do have matchmaking in Smash, but just online is always frustrating with Nintendo titles, and playing with your friends online is frustrating too because of the friend codes. But just it's a laggy hot mess playing online in general. So that game still gets a lot of couch play.
I'm curious if anyone in chat has had this experience where I feel like when I'm climbing matchmaking, it's always adrenaline, never dopamine. But if I'm playing like Smash, I get invited to someone's house with like 8 people. They all take basically it's me facing them one by one, and I keep winning.
But I'll tell you, do you think that's fun for them, where they're just literally getting stomped every game?
Well, here's the thing though, at least I'm having fun. In the matchmaking, nobody's having fun. Everyone is adrenaline. Everyone's on adrenaline 24. The whole match. And if they win, it was this close. And then the next match, they have to be focused again. And so it's always a razor's edge. It's never like a stomp. So I don't know.
All right, Alta, do you do any proposed solutions for the matchmaking conundrum? Like it just seemed like that is like mathematically speaking, matchmaking solves a problem of like different skill balances, and it does a mathematically good job of doing that by giving you 50-50 games, which like you said though, they do end up being like on the razor's edge, and they become all adrenaline, all stressful, so no chance to relax.
This could be a test that a big company like Riot could do. Make it so 1 out of like 50 games or 1 out of 20 games, one person in the match is vastly overclassed to everyone else. But the game doesn't tell you this. So that one guy gets a stomp. He gets a stomp that game, and then they measure this. So he has dopamine, whereas everyone has adrenaline.
Yeah. But you kind of naturally get that, don't you, Altai, from just like having enough 50-50 games where one guy gets ahead and he stomps anyway? I feel like we kind of capture that automatically. No, but unless you want to make it like
I'm curious what the result would be if they just put you in a playpen with kids and you just get to smash them. What would it do for your desire to keep playing the game? Will it make up for like the 20 bad games you had?
No, it can't. No, the problem is those other 9 guys would have a horrible experience getting ruffle stomped, or well, in this case, 5 guys because you carry your team of 4.
Or actually, I think we need more asymmetrical games. So this could not happen in League. It would have to be a new game. But things like what's the game called? The one where the one guy's a monster and 4 people are survivors. It's big on the 5 Days to Die, 4 Days to Die.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I forgot the name though. So, Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, there you go. Dead by Daylight. So Dead by Daylight. So you could have an asymmetrical game where people get to take. Evolve is also it's a similar one where one guy gets to be overpowered compared to anyone. Another guy's got to work together to overpower him. So at least everyone gets a feeling of power and the feeling of helplessness, and it kind of rotates.
Maybe that's what Gunbound was trying to figure out when you played random and you got nobody's ever remember this Gunbound example because nobody plays Gunbound anymore, or even probably remembers it. But when you played random in Gunbound, you would get a random character, and like there was 2 OP characters you could only get by randoming. A very low chance to get them. So if you got
the Knight or something,
Dragon of the Night. So if you got either of those, you had a huge advantage. So I guess you kind of play with the idea. We have a random chance to be OP.
Actually, MMOs are uniquely situated. To bring it back to MMOs, thank you, Derpy. But I think MMORPGs are uniquely situated to test these asymmetrical power systems, where you could have like the top player, be the. I know a lot of old Korean games did this, where what top player could be like the king, and he could control a giant avatar, but then everyone else has to mob him or something, So there could be a lot of ways to play with this, and I think in the end, we'll slowly have to do this after people can kind of get tired of this, 50% grind matchmaking stuff.
But that's the thing about MMOs versus more like competitive gaming, right? I think MMOs are in a sweet spot where it's not like a matchmaking style competitive gaming, where instead it is very asymmetrical. You said already. In some team comps, some raids, if you're playing a pub group in FF14 or WoW, for example, you will get certain players that carry other players, and like you do feel good when you carry other players. You always feel good. Like you look at your damage charts, these scrubs are hitting like 6k damage on a black mage. I'm hitting like 12k. Like, come on, this guy barely knows how to play. I'm going to carry him, and you feel good being the badass.
Yeah. So games need to rotate to make everyone has to have a chance to feel like the badass once in a while.
Well, that's the thing. It's the beauty of MMOs is they're not competitive in the same way, League, Counter-Strike, Dota, and whatnot are. So I feel like you can still kind of achieve this through other avenues in MMOs.
Yeah, we talked about this before, but a few games achieve this by accident. So games like Counter-Strike with this crazy headshot mechanic, right? 1 in 100 matches, you'll have the bad player just basically spray, walk forward, and kill the whole team. Like the whole enemy team, just all 5 sprayed, dead, and that guy feels great for the next 50 rounds of losing.
That's what the RNG of like the spray patterns and being generally unpredictable makes those mechanisms possible. Like you could have like the 5 best CS:GO players and one like awful player. Just 1 in a billion games, the one awful player could theoretically ace the 5 best CS players in the world by literally closing his eyes and just mashing the shoot button. You get absolutely lucky, but that can never happen in a game like chess or any game without RNG. Like it literally would never happen unless the guy just throws the game intentionally.
Okay, so here's maybe a question we can tackle next time. I've got to think about it. How many people playing League, right, or Dota or Counter-Strike are going into it with the chess mindset versus the play mindset? So I know you as a more competitive bound player, when you queue for League, you view it as basically a chess match, like in terms of like
I play to win every game.
You play to win, right? Whereas I think a lot of people, the majority of people, play to play. Like they just knocking things down, killing stuff, trying new moves, or just doing shit in the game. That's fun for them, right? With the with winning being preferable, obviously, but it's not being the only thing that matters.
I think for most people that are playing ranked, people are very ranked. Stress is a real thing. It just seems like most people are going into it just to win games. If they're not going into it just to win games, they'd be playing normal mode or unranked.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm curious about that. So do you want to talk about that League AFK thing, or do you want to hit our Game of the Year thing?
Let's hit the Game of the Year award first. All right, it's the beginning of 2020.
Okay.
The most highly watched Game of the Year awards in the world. All right, MMOs.com. All right, there was a bidding war for the Game of the Year this year. Okay, we had Blizzard, we had Square Enix just begging to give us money to make them number 1, which obviously I'm kidding, they weren't. But WoW Classic took the number 1 shot over here, and I don't think it can be underestimated just how big of a game WoW Classic is.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of relieved that WoW Classic came out this year because the rest of the field, like remember, we only give our Game of the Year to games that came out this year, so not improved games, like just this year. So the competition was very, very sparse. We had Astelia Online, a few, no-name MMORPGs.
I would feel dirty giving it to Astelia. Like you win by default because there's like no other games launched in 2019. Like no other PC MMORPGs really launched in 2019. So I would feel dirty giving it to Astelia. So even though WoW Classic is kind of a relaunch, it squeaked by. We gave it to them.
Yeah, and what surprised me was how big the launch was. So Omar and I were there for day 1, and we had all the same problems you have in a huge new launch, in the past, where they had to open more servers than they thought. There were 12-hour queues to get in,
Those 12-hour queues lasted like a month, all right? It's like you always had to stay logged in if you wanted to keep playing.
Yeah. Well, they gave free transfers to new servers, but if you wanted to play on your initial choice, there were queues for, weeks. And remember, the servers launch initially with something called sharding, where there's multiple copies of the whole world in each server. And they collapsed those now. They're gone now. So there's only one instance of the world in each thing. But they clearly were ready for a big influx, and they got an even bigger one than expected. So it shows you that WoW Classic is not a meme. It's still going. It's still big. I see a lot of people still playing. And yeah.
Probably. And beyond just the numbers, just to recap some quick numbers real quick on Activision Blizzard's earnings report, they clarified that with the launch of WoW Classic, WoW had the single biggest increase in quarterly users and subscribers in the game's history. The launch of WoW Classic increased subscribers more than any other quarter in the game's history. So they've added millions of subscribers because of WoW Classic's launch. That was a huge boost to the game's popularity. And besides the actual data, I'll try to have some anecdotal evidence, which is a fun story as well. When the game launched, one of my buddies quit his job to basically play WoW Classic all day. He prepared, he quit his job, he's ready to go. The moment the game launched, he never stopped playing. I asked for his /play time. He's got like 4 level 60s now, 3 or 4 level 60s, and he's been, hardcore rating every single one of them. I think the game launched. It was it like September 1st or late
Something like
August,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And he basically has like, if the game's been out for like 70 days, he has like 45 days of in-game playtime, like literally nonstop playing since the game launched. And my other buddy who's playing with him, I played with him as well for a bit. He was jealous because he had a job, right? And he was like, since WoW Classic launched, he made a commitment. I am going to get fired from my job so I can play WoW Classic all day. Because if he gets fired, he collects unemployment benefits. If he quits on his own, he doesn't get unemployment benefits. So he was trying to get fired for like months, all right? And they just wouldn't fire him. So he just got so mad and he just quit. He's like, you know what? Battlegrounds came out. I don't want to get fired anymore. It's taking too long. They won't fire me. These guys suck. And he quit his job when BGs came out for WoW Classic. So he forfeited his unemployment benefits just to play WoW Classic, right? He was trying to get fired. He was begging to get fired so he can play WoW all day. But now his wish was granted. He quit his own job, so he didn't get the benefits, but he is playing WoW Classic all day and every day. So it's a remarkable. It is insanity, but it shows you the power of World of Warcraft and how addictive a truly good game can be. I think, honestly, I'm jealous. I'm envious of my two friends that are playing WoW Classic this much because it's been a while since I've had this hit where like I have to be like being able to sit down in front of a PC, in front of my computer, and just playing a game and not realizing 12 hours have passed. I miss that feeling. Fortunately for me, I think I've had it, more recently than you with various tiers of Final Fantasy 14 raids coming out. I do get the like brief periods where I'll play like literally 16 hours a day and not realize 16 hours passed. And it's a great feeling for some reason, but it only lasts for me like about a week or 2 weeks before I clear the content and move on. But I miss that feeling, and they've been having that feeling for months at a time. Obviously, I shouldn't miss it, but I do.
There's a guy down the street called Scats who sells some heroin. Okay, it'll give you right where you want. Right.
Honestly, though, it is. Gary the Giraffe, I still get that feeling. There you go. It probably. I don't think it's unfair to compare it to like a drug hit because it really is an interesting feeling where you can just literally play 16 hours. It's so amazing. Like. I kind of look back at it, and it really does feel like I was probably like on drugs or something because that feeling of just like being so immersed in what I'm doing, right? Where I'm forgetting to eat, where I'll eat nothing all day, and before I go to sleep, I'll eat like 7 Uncrustables or like 5 Hot Pockets, right? That'll be my dinner, just like get sustenance for the next day. But it is a remarkable feeling. And WoW Classic is firing on all pistons. I think they've added new servers and players. The queue times are gone, so if you want to play, it's still mega popular. And it's still doing really well. If you want to get back into WoW Classic, or World of Warcraft rather, it's a good time to do so. And I think WoW Classic's success and the success of other progression servers, MapleStory. I'm calling guys, MapleStory pre-Big Bang official server is going to launch this year. That's my guess. They've already done experiments with the lab servers. I think we're going to get a pre-Big Bang MapleStory server this year.
Speaking of MapleStory, first of all, they got to fix the client. I mean,
yeah, the client's been shit forever.
There's like a 70% chance when you launch MapleStory, it just doesn't open. So you got to keep trying. Mm-hmm. So that is unacceptable. I don't know what's going on with that. But I made a new character and got to level 200 before the end of the year. It's like a little ritual I have. I basically make a new burning character every holiday season and see how far I can get in like a week. And every year it gets easier because they make the experience easier. So I did hit 200, my first 200, but it doesn't mean anything anymore because now the max is like 275. Mm-hmm. But it was fun. I still enjoyed playing MapleStory.
Let's move on to our game of the year list. We have our best expansion of the year. Really, not too many contenders even made it to this, but we gave it to FF14 Shadowbringers. I think a lot of websites already did as well. In fact, I think IGN gave like the best continuing game to FF14 Shadowbringers as well, and a lot of other. I think Shadowbringers is one of the highest rated Final Fantasy games. Period. Like in the longest time. I think since like Final Fantasy 10 or something. So it's pretty universally liked. I played through the story. We're talking about being immersed in a game. When I was rating FF14, I do get that 14-hour, 15-hour periods where I do nothing but rate, right? But when FF14 Shadowbringers came out, I'm playing an MMORPG in the more traditional sense, where I'm just playing the game, I'm leveling up, I'm going through the story, doing some dungeons. Like that was my experience in Shadowbringers, where I was playing nonstop. I finished the main story quest and all the content of Shadowbringers pretty much in the first week it came out. So I was playing all day for that first week, and that was really fun as well. So I really enjoyed the game. I've been trying to get Altai to play through Shadowbringers just to experience the story of an MMORPG. I do think it's the first expansion of the game with a really good story. I thought it was better than Heaven's Ward. I thought it was a lot better than the base game story and a lot better than the Stormblood story. So I actually really like the storytelling of Shadowbringers. I'm just kind of afraid that they're going to take it into a really bad direction in the future, but I'll have to wait and see for that.
I think that's one of the crowning achievements of Final Fantasy XIV, that they combined a good raid system, housing, guilds, these trading, a marketplace, these MMORPG social features. They combine that with a traditional RPG, basically single player, right? The story is basically single player experience, and it's a pretty lengthy one, right? Like, how long does it take for?
Oh my god! If you made a new character and going through just the main story quest, zero side quests.
Let's just say the current expansion.
I don't know, at least 30 hours.
That's a full size game right there, pretty much.
Yeah,
right?
and we're saying you ignore all the side quests, and there are a million side quests.
You do. Let's say you do them as you hit them. Like, you don't got it your way, but you just.
But still, again, every map is designed to give you a million side quests. Like, you can really, like, what FF14 does really well is they do tell you the lore of the world, like, through optional side quests. So you won't know a lot of, like, minutia about the game if you don't do the side quests, right? Those are just there if you really want to, like, get encyclopedic knowledge of, like, certain events in the game, certain characters in the game, how things unfolded. And you really get that through the side quest. But the main story quest, like you said, is basically a single player RPG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this game, Final Fantasy has combined those two really well, and they do it over and over again. Like, every 2 years, these expansions sell well. They grow the population keeps going up, so that's good. It's a healthy game. We're not going to get an expansion this year, right? Because
no.
So
but I think FF14 and ESO are really the only, like, big Western. ESO is Western developed. This is Japanese developed, right? Mm-hmm. These are the only two big like MMORPGs in the West, along with World of Warcraft. Obviously, these three games are really the big three. Old school RuneScape has kind of been running for a long time as well. It's also super popular, but it doesn't have, like, that same main story quest, the main, like, JRPG style storytelling as a game, like, or big storytelling the way ESO or Final Fantasy 14 does. And this is an all-time high in popularity. Final Fantasy 14. Square Enix reported, like, the highest ever quarterly earnings for the MMO division, which obviously compared to certain, like, mobile games is still not a lot of money, but we still have a few games still thriving in this environment where, basically mobile games, other, like, and MOBAs and battle royales are doing really well. We still have a handful of games being, FF14, World of Warcraft, old school RuneScape, and ESO doing really well.
Yep, and as far as WoW, the Classic did really well this year, but I think the retail expansion did not age well. I mean, people were excited the first month, and it quickly kind of became a disaster. The population went down, and I think we mentioned that it's very possible that WoW subscribers actually dipped below Final Fantasies for a bit. But obviously, with the launch of Classic, I think it's
100% with WoW Classic. They're much higher than FF14. But I think there was one point where FF14 could have had higher numbers.
Yeah. Now let's move on to our most anticipated, and this one is interesting because Omar and I actually had a chance to play the alpha for TemTem just before the podcast. So most anticipated, obviously, it went to TemTem, and this is after last year's going to Lost Ark. So I think Lost Ark kind of dropped the ball because it came out 2 years ago now in Korea. And also, all of last year, it could have been out here too, but I think it just took too long. Mm-hmm. And I've lost steam when other more viable products have been introduced. Like TemTem isn't, string us along. The alpha's out, it's playable. Omar and I both played it, and it works like a charm. It's smooth, the graphics look great, it's bright, vibrant, and it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's basically, a Pokemon clone.
Mm-hmm.
So
we both only played it for about 30 minutes. Somebody asked, is it overrated? It's going to be launching with only, like, a handful of TemTems in the game, so it's not going to have, like, a crazy number of, like, a crazy amount of content. They've already said that with their early access, they're going to be launching with some pretty limited amount of content. So because of that, like, don't expect a full-blown, Pokemon MMORPG just yet. But from what I've seen, I'm already really impressed. It runs really well. So the early access is going to be launching with a 20-hour campaign with 4 boss dojos, which I guess are going to be like gyms. The game is co-op. There'll be 76 TemTems to catch. Obviously not nearly, My kind of benchmark was 150 for the original Pokemon, but that's just with the early access. There's customization, there's a breeding system, there's shiny TemTems, PvP battles, and play of the world to explore. But they're gonna be adding a lot more when the game comes out, fully launches. They expect over 161 TemTem.
Yeah.
There's a pick and ban ranked PvP system.
Ooh.
And this game, I was so impressed already. Just the fluidity of the game. When I launched the game, I start walking around. I see other players walking around the persistent, world of TemTem, and the actual battles themselves. They're really fluid, and it's just a really, like, it just feels good to play. Like, the production value is there.
There's an unquantifiable element when you launch a new game, either keyboard or mouse or controller, and you just move. You just go look, you lift left, right, you walk a little, and you can tell right away if it's got that smoothness or not. So many, like, indie games or clunky games, just you could tell from the first 5 seconds that, okay, it's one of those games. Like, it might be fun, but I kind of feel weird moving. But TemTem is not like that. It feels smooth right out the bat.
So they go ahead and show. There's the interesting thing when you make your character, because in the game's character creator, you don't just pick a male or female the way you would do in a lot of other games. I think it's the first game I've seen where you just kind of choose a male-ish looking body or a female-ish looking body, and at the end, instead of picking a gender, you pick your pronoun.
Yeah, that's true. I've never seen this before. I mean, we kind of memed about it for a while in the past, but this is the first time I'm seeing it, guys. So there's no male, no female, and once you're done with your character, you can choose your pronoun: she, her, he, him, they, them. And
Now, obviously, I think a lot of people are going to get kind of like a knee-jerk reaction to like, oh my god, the SJWs are ruining gaming. But like, I thought about it for a second, like and I realized who cares? Like, is this really hurting anyone's experience of the game? And my answer is no. I'm curious what you think.
no, and here's the thing though. I would prefer you don't pick a gender or pronoun. You just make a character. Like, why do they need this part?
Ooh, that's a good point. Maybe just leave it with the body, because like you
Yeah.
could choose a body at the beginning with like kind of you got boobs hanging out, and then broader shoulders is one of the body types. So just choose a body type, and then your pronoun doesn't matter then. And if you can communicate yourself if you want in game.
Or you can just choose your name. You know, like, so if your name is Rimute, be like, hey, hello, Rimute. Like, what's up? They don't have to say, hey, him, or hey, you know, like, when would it come up in chat? I don't know.
Adam, it is not a sponsored review. If we get paid to talk about any game, we do disclose it pretty openly. We mention how much we get paid if we talk about certain games. But I wish they paid me. We did get a free copy of the game though. I requested it actually. They didn't give it to me. I emailed them, hey, I want to check out the alpha. You know, give me that hookup, bro. I got the hookup. So again, we only played for like 30 minutes early on, but I was really impressed with what I saw already. Just because like we've seen so many Kickstarter games like kind of flop and nothing came out of them, but this game is already kind of delivering what they wanted to. Like I've seen the battles already. It very much feels like a look, innovation wise, it's not really innovative. It just took Pokemon and made a an MMO version of it. It's not going to be free to play at launch. It's going to cost money, but I'm surprised Nintendo dropped the ball this long. I can see Altai's character. We got Brock in the background.
So I made Brock as my character. Let's see if I get banned.
Well, you're not gonna get banned, obviously. It's so funny though how much they copied the story of Pokemon. Like it's not that they copied the world. Like you kind of like you wake up in your mom's house and they go, oh, you gotta talk to Professor what's his name over there. You know, you're gonna be leaving to become a Pokemon trainer or something, and you leave your house. You choose from one of 3 Pokemon. They always one of 3, and then you have to battle. You gotta battle your rival. In this case, they're called Max. So like just like the setup, right, is so identical to the trope and the basics of Pokemon, which I think is okay. You know, it's not a big deal they copied that, but I'm just surprised that Nintendo didn't do anything quite like this on their own.
I think Nintendo's one of those companies that needs competition to act. So I'm hoping we get more competition. I know there's a game called Wargroove. It's kind of like Advance Wars, but like fantasy. And it was really well received. So hopefully they make another Advance Wars game now. We'll see. But I think Nintendo needs more people to clone them, just so they can kind of get off their lazy butts, make better online games, better quality games. Like so Pokemon Sword and Shield they could do so much with that, but they're not. And I think TemTem might give them the heat they need to start working harder at that.
So go ahead and show a gameplay video. I want to talk a bit about a few of the differentiating things. I mean, the game's going to have player housing as well eventually when it launches, which is pretty fun. But just the idea of like this persistent world Pokemon MMO where you can battle other players, and they're going to be adding pick and ban ranked PvP. I mean, this is going to be a real Pokemon game, and the beauty is they do have a few design decisions that Pokemon doesn't do. So I linked the other video. Well, first just show the gameplay. I want to talk about the game. Actually has no RNG. So from their design perspective, they wanted to design a Pokemon-like game without the RNG. If you've played Pokemon before, you know that RNG is clearly a pretty big part of the game. It kind of influences a lot of your decision making in Pokemon. I mean, whether it's accuracy and stuff like that. I mean, there's no accuracy in TemTem either. Your hit's basically gonna land every single time, or your hits take a while to charge up. So they've kind of solved the RNG mechanic by adding a stamina mechanic to the game. So if you want to use certain powerful abilities, they take up more stamina than other abilities, right? And other abilities, to use them, you cannot use like certain attacks at the beginning of a fight. You have certain attacks available on your first turn, and your second turn they'll start charging up, and you can only use it after it's fully charged up. And when it's charged up, you can use it then, and then it starts recharging up again. And obviously, the more powerful attacks take longer to be able to use later in the fight, as well as they require you to have use up more stamina. If you use abilities when you're out of stamina, you take damage yourself. So they're basically trying to design the game around a hunter-based skill and strategy rather than RNG, which Pokemon is notorious for. I mean, you could just lose a game to crits in Pokemon and missing attacks. How many times if you played Pokemon Showdown, you get a 10% proc or you miss a 90% attack. Stuff like that was clearly something TemTem didn't want to have. So it's not this purely casual game as well. The designers behind TemTem have clearly thought about making something more skill based. which is interesting considering the look and feel of the game looks very much like Pokemon, and it looks very much like a casual game. But I think they're going for a pretty hardcore feel too. I mean, they want to introduce pick and ban rank system as well. So they're trying to design their game around, building a good team and making good, try to predict your opponent's moves and whatnot. So if you're interested in that, they do talk about a bit of the design philosophy on the original Kickstarter page. I'm sure on their website as well.
Yeah, I mean, it looks great, and I think, like you said earlier, there's gonna be a ranked competitive matchmaking too. I don't know about matchmaking, but like a rank system.
But yeah, it looks pretty intense. Again, Altan I've only played right before the podcast began. I think the alpha just started last night as well, so we didn't get a chance to play it. But I'm probably gonna play it later today as well. And
alpha ends on Thursday. There's a few stress tests from here until like the middle of the month, and I think it should be coming on early access this month too.
Yeah, this is a game that we put as most hyped game that's actually coming out like this month. Last year again we talked about Lost Ark, and Lost Ark is still not out here in the West. My prediction is Lost Ark will launch in the West this year. That's my prediction. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but it's got to happen, because if it doesn't happen this year, the hype is all gone. It's gonna be like Blade and Soul all over again, where people were so hyped for Blade and Soul, but the launch took forever.
All right, so next, moving on here, we got Hordes IO for most innovative. So have you seen this one?
I've seen, I watched a guy on Twitch play for like 10 minutes, but I didn't play it myself. I know you said you gave it a try.
Yeah, so it's online. It's at one of those IO sites. You just go to Hordes.io, and you make a character. There's 2 factions, PvP, open world PvP, there's monsters, levels. It's like a full feature MMORPG on your browser, no download, and it just works. Everything works. You can make parties, you can, whatever, there's drops.
Is it PvE or just PvP?
No, PvP and PvE.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a team-based PvP. And it works. It works very good. And I think it's smart that they jumped on this IO trend, because these IO games are huge. All the kids play them at school and on their little iPads or whatever. So great. I think it was a very nice little gem, and I think it's made by like 2 people, one artist, one coder. So it's amazing.
I've been very impressed with that IO games. I don't think I've played a bad IO game yet. Whether it's Agar, whether it's Survivio, the PUBG Battle Royale on the browser, whether it's Hordes, IO games for whatever reason have been very, very good.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you guys are on a PC right now, you can probably just check it out while you're watching. Maybe we'll play it after the podcast too.
And there's something to be said about just being able to launch a game and play it right away. There's no build up. Look, when you're playing FF14, to begin, quote, playing FF14, because it's got that JRPG look and feel, you're not really gonna be playing the game for at least an hour, okay? Between just like introduction, walking around town, to like killing your first enemy, it'll be like an hour before that happens. So with Hordes IO, you just jump right in.
Yep. So that was last year we gave it to a game that shut down like within a week. Do you remember? It was like what was it called? It was like the one where it was kind of like Ramble the Mad God, but when you die, you keep like some traits that you get.
Oh yeah. That was actually a really cool game. I forgot the name of it too now.
Yeah, it's dead though. It died like within like a month of.
What's funny is I think 2 years ago, we gave it to another game that shut down already. That was it shut down that year as well. Yeah, so we gave it to Master X Master, which shut down that year. Survived by, which also shut down I think that year. And maybe the curse of the MMOs.com most innovative award, Hordes.io guys confirmed to shut down this year. All right,
no.
Because whatever we give our most innovative game to, just shuts down.
I know, right? Well, we'll see.
I mean, Minikos, it was both those games I think were really, really impressive in terms of like their design features, right? I guess they weren't commercially viable, but I think at least Master X Master made a lot of weird mistakes in like who they were aiming to cater with that game. So I don't know. Hopefully, Hordes.io doesn't make that mistake.
Indeed. And best battle royale. And can you believe it, anymore that Apex Legends came out in 2019? I mean, that one it wins by default for that best battle royale. It was a huge game.
What else do we have? There's been a couple of like meme ones.
Yeah, some dukers. But Apex Legends kind of pulled off what PUBG did in terms of it came out of nowhere, right? Like Apex Legends was like a total surprise release by EA and Respawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was huge. It just took off. Everyone was playing this game. It did slow down, a few months after launch, which is normal, but it's still a huge game. Huge esports scene growing around it. It's fluid. It's fast. It's good. It's console and PC. It works. PUBG kind of suffered from like lag and hackers and cheaters and disconnects.
I still feel like it runs way smoother than PUBG.
It is butter.
It just feels nicer.
We were talking about it with TemTem. So if you play PUBG today, even today, it's gonna, as you move around, it's gonna be like buggy and laggy and like you're gonna feel clunkered. But when you play Apex Legends, first time, smooth.
I'm not sure clunkered is a word all time, but I like the way you use it though, because I feel like the way it just sounds like it is what it is. It's clunkered. You're moving around and PUBG still doesn't feel right.
No.
You know when you launch PUBG for the first time, you invite a couple friends into your lobby. It takes like 8 seconds to appear in the background. You just know it's not going to run well.
Exactly. I wonder what the term is for this, but there's some kind of unquantifiable feel like to games, like smoothness factor.
Yeah, when you launch a game for the first time, you run around, you get that right away.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew from the get go, like the PUBG was a fun game. I mean, I played a lot in beta. In fact, I played it more like before it launched, probably than after it launched. It was a fun game, but you're always fighting with just the way the game felt.
Mm-hmm.
PUBG was made for Windows 98. There you go.
So I think last year we gave Best Battle Royale to Ring of Elysium, which was actually a growing game that year. But I think since then it's kind of fallen off on Steam charts. Let me take a quick
Check
look.
it out. Let's see.
Yeah, it is free to play. It's owned by Tencent. It gives you nice spyware in your computer, but it's a cost of progress. Let's see, Ring of Elysium.
Yeah, it definitely fell off. I mean, last year it was peaking at 63,000 players on Steam. It's since fallen quite a bit. It averages 4,170 players now.
Wow.
It's fallen quite a bit.
It's
It's just
a huge fall.
I think Apex Legends probably took a lot of steam out of this one.
Yeah.
Apex
yeah.
Legends launched in early 2019. That kind of corresponds to that big fall off.
That's crazy. From 60,000, over 60,000 to now 2,000. So
Yeah, it just when a new battle royale game comes out, or a big game comes out, there really isn't that much room for number 3 or 4 player. And Ring of Elysium was like could be the number 3 player potentially after Fortnite and PUBG, right? But now you have Apex Legends that firmly took that number 3 spot.
Crazy.
So it makes sense.
All right, so that's Battle Royale. Battle Royale, what do you guys think of that genre? I think we all had pretty high hopes for it, that we're going to see a flood of these games. And I think we saw more of a trickle. Like there was a few big games, a lot of really Duke games, but nothing really in the middle.
I'm disappointed, honestly. Very disappointed with how stale the genre has been. I feel like it could be way better. I remember when PUBG first came out, they said they're going to aim for like more players in a single map.
Yes.
But we're still at 100 players in PUBG. Like, come on. Like what was really cool about Battle Royale was like, wow, there's 100 players on the island. We got to survive to be the last one standing. Why not 200 players? Why not 300 players? Like, why can't we do that? That would be way more fun and intense. Because so much of PUBG is spent like there's a balance between like running around, picking up loot, and fighting. And I feel like when I'm playing PUBG, so much time is spent not fighting.
Yes.
And if you just had more action, I think it'd be more fun and more rewarding if you win with more than 100 players. I think most players would prefer that as well.
We need a good Battle Royale that's maybe not a shooter. A few companies have tried that as well, but nothing has worked. I mean, what's it called? Asher-Creation Apocalypse. There was like that Nine Dragons one, right?
The Nine Dragons Kung Fu Arena. I'll tell you, no one's played that game except you and me. All right, literally nobody.
There was actually a bigger game that kind of went for the whole Battle Royale without guns, but it also kind of floundered.
Mm-hmm. There's another one in development. I forgot the name of it though. I get emails about it once in a while, but they're trying to make a non-shooter, non-FPS one.
Mm-hmm. Maple Story 2 had a Battle Royale, that's right. So did Black Desert.
Black Desert.
Yeah, Spellbreak might be the one I was
Spellbreak, that's the one. It's TJ, thanks. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that played the Call of Duty Battle Royale enjoyed it as well. Battle Right. Oof. Rip Battle Right, though. The game is pretty dead right now.
Well, what was the Paladins one called? Remember the Paladins Battle Royale? That was kind of big for like a hot month.
Yeah, Realm Royale.
Realm Royale was big for like a month, and then I bet it's dead now.
I think it's that too. But no, I think it was making a bit of a comeback last time I checked on Steam charts. Let's take a look. I enjoyed Realm Royale. I thought it'd be more popular than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been dying. It's down to. I mean, it really did stabilize. Probably at the beginning of this year, kinda.
I mean,
it got cut in half from January till this January.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the bleed is I think it's kind of stopped bleeding lately. All right. It's never gonna hit that peak again that it got 100,000.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look good.
Not looking good, boys. Not looking good. All right, hit that worst one, Altai. The most disappointing.
Where did I put that? I lost my.
Spoilers. It's Anthem.
So yeah, most disappointing is Anthem. That's right.
Yeah, not too much to be said about that one. I mean, everyone's already been talking about this for a while.
Well, there's one thing to be said about this.
All right.
Okay, EA has other divisions, right? Why do they keep tasking BioWare, which is like the king of single-player RPGs? Why do they keep tasking them with these online-only games? Like
good point.
Right? Just get one of your other million studios. They bought EA actually bought an MMORPG studio, the one that made Dayak.
Mythic.
right? So, but then they closed it, whatever. But clearly, they have other divisions that could make online games. Why are they tasking it to the guys known for these isometric D&D RPGs, right? And I don't know. So it's crazy, and it didn't.
It's
work
very
out.
strange too, like you said, because there are like Paradox, for example, is very well known for making their grand strategy games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they keep making the same kind of game they're really good at making.
Mm-hmm.
Let Bioware make the games they're good at making. Don't distract them with this online, MMO style game like Anthem. It's very strange. You have other studios for that, like you said.
Yeah.
Ooh, Fallout 76 was also,
That was a
up
competitor
there.
for most disappointing. But the thing is, at least for whatever reason, there are some people playing Fallout 76 still. Whereas Anthem is just basically dropped off the face of the earth.
I mean, the bugs though in Fallout 76 were pretty notorious. I'm sure you've seen the Internet Historian videos.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen those, well worth checking out. And there's other videos too of like all the disastrous launch of that game and how many problems it's had.
There's actually a more recent bug with Fallout 76. You can actually walk up to people and just loot their inventory.
Nice. That seems like a pretty game-breaking bug. How does that happen in a non-like indie game? If it's an indie game with one developer, yeah, it makes sense. Yikes! What a great bug.
Yeah,
Nice.
There's some funny YouTube videos of people like just doing it and people going, "Where's my stuff?"
Also, in terms of like what's coming up next, also related to Fallout 76, kind of. What do you think about New World, Altai? Do you think that's going to succeed?
You know what's funny?
We haven't released it. It's coming out. It's actually going to happen.
It is coming out, but they totally reworked some big chunks of it. Here's the thing. First, it was about coming to the New World being America, right? And then fighting the natives and stuff. But then they got lashback from imperialism or like some kind of white guilt stuff. I don't know. Like they literally just wanted to make a game where you kind of reenact the Age of Exploration. You come to America, but they couldn't do that because of the PC police. So instead, there's like some magic island now with like magic Roman legionnaires, like these skeleton Romans now. So they changed a lot of the setting to appease people, and it seems like they moved away a little bit from the whole survival aspect. It's more like an MMORPG with like just combat and normal story.
I mean, there's be still crafting and stuff too, but it does seem like they moved a bit away from the original like.
Yes, like
the
frontier.
Rust.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a New World was supposed to be like the frontier, like the Americas, settled Americas. But now it's just like a survive. You're just basically on this weird magic island doing magic quests and killing skeletons.
And the game's coming out in May 2020 for $40 on Steam. And one of the big changes they made is that PvP now is opt-in, so you can't just attack or kill anybody anymore. That's a drastic change from like their design philosophy. Where before it's more like Rust, where if you're wandering around outside town, or anywhere, you could just die. That's the whole point of survival games. So they took away PvP from being anything goes frontier to being opt-in, which I think isn't necessarily a bad design decision, because obviously the hardcore that hardcore survival element doesn't have a big audience, but it is such a drastic change from their initial like vision. It seems kind of strange that they decided to make a hardcore game and they took away the hardcore elements later on.
But to their credit, they flew a bunch of people in and they did a few alpha testing. So maybe this is the feedback they got back. The people just didn't want to play what they had. So I can't totally blame them for having to change.
I'm just always so worried when a game changes that much. Can it really be good? I mean, yeah, it's certainly possible, but I don't know. It makes me hesitant to really like jump into it.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as it's free, I'll test it out. We'll see how it goes.
It's not going to be free. It's $40.
It's $40, but here's the thing: if you pre-ordered it when it was free, which you could have done on Amazon.com, I didn't bother because I thought if it's free, who cares? Why pre-order? I'll just get it when it's free. But so now it costs money. But anybody who pre-ordered it gets to have it for free. They got an email.
Wow, should have pre-ordered New World for free on Amazon. Ripperino.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go.
I mean, I know Chaos Shield played it for quite a bit. He talked to me about it, but I'm not super optimistic. I hope it does well though, only because I do want to see more MMOs out there, and they're clearly, even if it's like this weird mix of MMORPG and survival MMO, like it could be interesting to do it well. So I'm always rooting for it. I think I like to think I'm an optimist, even though we do kind of shit on a lot of games on the podcast. But I do always hope for the best. Like even Star Citizen, honestly, I hope the game comes out and I hope they deliver like even half what they promised. I mean, there's no reason to root for someone's like demise. You get the, what's that word? Schadenfreude or something?
The German word that no one can
Yeah, we're both pronouncing it horribly wrong though. Like I don't know, I really do wish Astro Creation and Star Citizen come out, because I do want to see a more thriving MMO atmosphere. No, Crowfall is still not out, Leo Wolf. Which at this point, like, it feels like, yeah, of course it's not out, dude. That game's never going to come out.
Star Citizen. There's actually a little bit of an update on Star Citizen. So Crytek is trying to pull suspend one of the counts as suing for. So in the lawsuit, one of them was, so Star Citizen bought one engine license, but they're making 2 games, right? Star Citizen and what's the one called? So the single player one, whatever.
Yeah, Squadron 42.
Squadron. So they want to suspend that one, so they can, because they don't think the game's going to come out anytime soon. Squadron.
Wait, is this Squadron the one that's actually going to come out? It's a single player game?
Well, Crytek doesn't think it's going to come out in the next few years. Otherwise, they would have not, suspended that one.
Interesting.
So this is the speculation based on the lawsuit progress, but we'll see what that means actually.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, we got one more category here, and that is Black Desert Mobile as our mobile game of the year. Now, this wasn't exactly an exciting category for us, but with how big this MMORPG specifically are now on mobile, we had to at least talk about it. There was actually a pretty big list of mobile MMORPGs this year, being Tales of Wind, Dawn of Isles, World of Kings. But a lot of these had very generic names, as you can probably tell. At least Black Desert Online, I feel like they kind of put together the best package with the generic pieces of this mobile genre, right? So it's not good. It's not any different than World of Kings. It's a little more polished, right? A little more original in terms of like the visuals. Like World of Kings just looks like WoW. They just copied WoW. So whereas Black Desert at least has a little bit of a unique aspect to it.
Was Perfect World Mobile any good? The game's really popular in China. I downloaded and played it, but it really just felt like I was auto-playing, and I'd rather auto-play in Black Desert Mobile than I was auto-playing in Perfect World Mobile. Perfect World Mobile did a really cool AR feature where you can actually like take your character in game and like superimpose it with the AR in like your living room with the camera feature, and it looks really stupid, but it was really fun to play with. Like it was so dumb that it was fun. And you can of course make your character look absurd. I mean, that's kind of like a signature staple of Perfect World. Like you can make your character creation like ridiculous. So doing that with the AR camera was pretty fun in Perfect World Mobile. But beyond that's the most fun I've had in Perfect World Mobile. I mean, RuneScape is available on mobile as well, so there you go. That's probably
RuneScape Mobile won our award last year for this category, and nothing quite like it has come out this year, unfortunately.
It's also like a real MMORPG, RuneScape Mobile versus these other autoplay games.
Oh, there's a little update on mobile here. So Tales of Wind, which is a mobile RPG, I think they actually launched a PC version recently. Yep. So if you want to check it out.
The game is also really bad, but you should only check it out if you want to play a bad game with hilariously bad voice acting.
Yes.
I know Altai and me played through like the first hour. Just to listen to the voice acting. It is so bad that it's funny. So read the story, listen to the voice acting, you'll get a good laugh out of it, and you'll uninstall it in an hour, and you'll call it, a fun little mini session of gaming over there. But it's so bad that it's fun. Also Chinese autoplay, pay to win nonsense game. So Altai, we're talking a little bit about old school RuneScape and RuneScape. Altai, did you hear about Bloodstone?
No.
Okay, there's a game called Bloodstone, and it launched, I think, just a couple days ago, actually, into free to play. I think it's a Brazilian developed game.
Let's see what we got here.
Take a look at this game. You just skip 55 seconds to show the actual gameplay from around there. It's available in both, I think, English and Portuguese, and it looks a lot like Tibia and RuneScape. I mean, it's very clearly inspired by Tibia. I know they love Tibia and RuneScape down in South America,
just like Tibia.
Yeah, but it looks a little bit different. Yeah. But for some reason, I don't know why, I kind of like the graphics here. It makes me want to try this game. Honestly, for some reason, this looks more attractive to me than a lot of more modern looking games. This looks like some of the old Ultima games as well.
Well, I think the era of remasters is upon us. So remasters, remakes, and spiritual successors of these old classic games with similar graphics, gameplay, but with a new engine, so it's smooth and it runs on modern hardware. I think there's a bright future in that niche.
I mean, Lewo said that's exactly how Tibia looks now. I mean, do you mean exactly? Like, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a different game. I don't think it's just I don't think it's a Tibia private server. At least I don't think it is, right? It's not built as a Tibia private server.
It's not exactly. It's like, okay. But it's super inspired. It's like TemTem, I guess, and
yeah.
And Pokemon.
I mean, I would say more so because even though the art style is probably a little bit different, but here it looks like even visually like the exact same art style as Tibia. But the game is available free to play on Bloodstone Online if you guys are curious.
And, it looks a lot better than a poorly made 3D MMORPG. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
100%. There's some,
That's good. You can judge a lot, Altai, about a man's autoplay. So I'm looking at Altai's autoplay in the background. We got some beats you can listen to on the right side. You got some Joe Rogan. You got some Rudy from Alpha Investments. Not a bad
It's a lot of
Instead of autoplay, but
background music while I'm just reading and stuff.
It's good. I'd be embarrassed to always show what's on my autoplay, all right?
Oh, what?
Some stuff comes on there
All
sometimes,
right,
all right?
maybe after the podcast post game we can take a look at that.
But yeah, that Bloodstone game I think looks pretty cool. I actually do want to give it a try. I might do a first look for it. I haven't done a first look in a while because we haven't any real, PC MMORPGs to cover. But this just launched, so I do want to do a first look for TemTem as well. That'll probably come first.
Mm-hmm. Good. Hopefully 2020 some nice games come out so I can play some good games. It's been a dry year in 2019.
Well, we do have you did say remasters. We do have another game coming out this year that probably should have came out like 5 years ago, but it didn't. Sega opened up their closed beta signups in North America for Phantasy Star Online 2. It's actually going to happen here in the West finally. This is a game. They had the website for coming soon forever, and they just shut the website down I think last year. But now, with the partnership with Microsoft, PSO2 is going to happen. I don't think there's a firm release date just yet, and I think this first closed beta was only for Xbox users. But there will be something for Windows 10 and PC launch this year. And honestly, this is definitely one of the better of the instance dungeon persistent hub style games. There's a whole lot of games like this. They get a whole lot of games like Vindictus, Soul Worker, Blozers. There's a million games that follow this formula. And this is one of the few Japanese developed MMORPGs. All right.
I'm curious if this is a little bit too little too late though. But how do you think
it's definitely late, all right, for sure. But the Japanese version of this game is still popular, Altai. It's still very popular. Ooh, good point, Namnos Wanderer. He's saying Sega only announcing they can hold on to their international copyrights and block private server attempts, and they don't actually want to release it, which is very strange because this game.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's true because I think they're being paid by Microsoft to bring it here.
Yeah, that too.
Microsoft wants exclusives in North America so they can compete with PlayStation 5.
Also, in Sega's earnings report, like I look at all these Japanese companies' earnings presentations and reports, and PSO2 is consistently listed one of the top games for Sega every single quarter. So this is probably the biggest money maker for Sega out of like all their games.
Wow.
The PSO2 still makes tons of money for Sega, and it's only out in Japan. So the game is consistently popular and profitable in its home market of Japan, which makes me wonder why it took this long to come out. Why did they have to wait for Microsoft to bribe them to launch this game in the West? Like, why did they do it on their own? It's clearly a successful game.
It is strange. And I think, as someone who doesn't play Xbox, whoever had an Xbox, I'm kind of grateful for Microsoft because...
You get cut off all the time?
Hello?
Uh-oh.
No?
What's going on? We lost them.
No, I'm here. Maybe you just lost me.
Yeah. I think I just lost you for a second.
All right. Anyway, Microsoft is actually doing us a lot of favors this year because they're bringing us Phantasy Star Online, Kart Racer, and Crossfire. So a lot of these big Asian games are coming here because of Microsoft.
Out there, I'm gonna challenge you right now. All right, let's take turns Japanese developed MMORPGs. All right, I'm gonna go first and cheat and say Phantasy Star Online 2. Go.
Final Fantasy 14. I win.
I didn't hear you again. My Discord. You're not coming through on Discord.
Final Fantasy 14.
What'd you say?
Final Fantasy 14.
All right. Uncharted Waters Online.
Well, yeah, it's weird. You can't hear me?
I could now.
All right. Final Fantasy 11.
Oh, you're just cheating. Go. I should have said FF11. All right. Dragon's Dogma Online. Somebody in chat said it, so I stole it from him.
Okay. Dragon Quest Online.
Ooh, shit. You got Dragon Quest 11. It was called Dragon Quest 11, not Dragon Quest Online.
Oh, really?
Right? Isn't it?
I don't know.
Or Dragon Quest 9. Somebody help me out over here. I don't think it's called Dragon Quest Online. No, Dragon Quest 11 is a new one. Is it really called Dragon Quest Online?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Dragon Quest X. All right, it's Dragon Quest X, Altai. It's Dragon Quest.
All right. Fine. Phantasy Star Online.
What is it? What's another one? Whew, we got all the Square Enix ones. There really aren't that. Oh, I got it.
Now I can't hear you, actually, if you're talking.
Now
I can hear him.
Forgot the name. Boys. They even have like an anime like opening. What's the name?
So if I name one, I win?
No, hold on. I want another 10 seconds.
10, 9, 8,
I think closest is Korean.
7,
MMORPG.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, what do you got? Go,
Shin
Altai.
Megami Tensei Imagine Online Mega 10.
Oof.
AKA Mega 10. Boom.
Oof. All right, let me see what I was thinking of. I'm gonna look it up. I don't think Curse is Japanese either. That's also Korean. A lot of these ones are Korean, the ones you guys are mentioning.
Blue
All right,
Protocol is Japanese. It's by Namco.
I was
It's not
thinking
yet.
Onigiri.
Oh.
I also knew
Soul
about Get
Worker.
Anthem too, but those
Soul
are
Worker
those.
is Japanese, isn't it?
Is it? I don't think it is. Is it?
I think so. I think so.
I'm pretty sure it's Korean. I'm gonna check it. Developer Lion Game, and they're Korean.
Oh.
I was almost certain. The Wizardry Online was Japanese. Somebody mentioned in the chat, but I didn't think it was for some reason. Oh, do you remember Pandora Saga?
Yeah.
There are so many MMORPG.
What is wrong with our audio? I can't hear him
This
now.
game
Oh, there it is.
launched in 2011, shut down in 2014, and like it was a blip. You know, it had no impact, none, zero, zilch. Altai, check out Pandora Saga. Look at that UI, Altai. This screenshot that we use is perfect for this game. We got this ass UI, and my favorite part of the screenshot on the homepage on that page is unregistered hypercam 2. That really captures the feel of 2011. All right,
Amazing.
no one's heard.
You know, the beauty of these old resolutions is the UI was like half the screen or more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there just really aren't that many Japanese developed MMORPGs. They're on the ball with mobile games, but just not a lot of PC MMOs. I don't know about Saga Online. There's a bunch of other Get Amped, Cosmic League, some really weird games. I think Onigiri is still around. Onigiri is also available on PC and console. Scars, we talked a bit about it earlier. I mean, I'm rooting for it, but it just seems like they changed the game quite a bit since their original vision. That it is hard to imagine it's going to come out good. Though again, I'm hoping it does well.
I got a little story.
All right.
So NCSoft has redid their logo. Okay.
Ooh, let's see the new corporate logo.
So here's the logo, boys.
I don't like it. I like the old one better.
It's so bland.
You know they paid good money for this, though. You know they hired a design firm who they said, oh, this encompasses the culture of NCSoft.
They did.
They're connected. A cooperative company where design and this all come together. It's a window to the future. Come on, some bullshit. This sucks.
All right, so here's what they said about this logo, okay, guys? Let's see how much of this you agree with. According to CEO Kim Tech Jin, the new CI represents, quote, craftsmanship, enthusiasm, and endless challenges. Furthermore, the sharp edges found on the new company logo was said to symbolize, quote, cutting-edge technology, with the letters N and C connecting to imply a connected world. Finally, a new company tagline was announced, Window to the Future, outlining NCSoft's target to build towards the future.
That's some corporate bullshit. Doesn't mean anything, all right? I did call the NNC being connected being some kind of cooperative thing, all right? Some connected thing. They wrote some BS. Exactly. I mean, they're bullshitting, but good for them. I kind of like their old logo better. This looks like it has no character.
Well, it's
not
got
a fan.
2 characters.
It's got no soul. All right? It's got nothing. Also, I know we talked earlier about potential Estelia being the game of the year by default by no competition. But the Korean version of Estelia shut down this year.
That's right.
Late last year.
Yeah.
So even it's already shutting down. So I'm not. That makes me kind of hesitant about the Western release. They obviously said the Korean shutdown is going to affect us. But when the game shuts down in one market, everyone's thinking, what's going on, boys? It's shutting down in one market. People in that market don't want to play it.
In the home market too, not just any market.
Yeah, so I just can't imagine it doing. It's just not a good sign when your game shuts down in its home market. It's an automatic oof. Again, yeah, Scars. My estimate for Lost Ark was for it to come out probably late this year, is my guess. We've had Smilegate announce some hires on their website for an English production manager or something. So I think they're working on an English release, and with the Russian release kind of rolling out, I think the next market is going to be NA. Honestly, I did get some Blessed vibes in terms of performance in Estelia. It was definitely better than Blessed.
Do you guys remember Air?
Ooh, when's that happening, Altai?
That was supposed to be in beta like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that never happened. That was a Bless 2.0 potentially. The visuals of Air look so much like Bless. Like, I don't get it. Why did they tease that trailer and then literally not launch the game and give us no updates in like 2 years now? What's happening? How does this happen?
It's amazing. I don't know. It's gonna be so dated by the time it ever comes out. It's on Unreal 3. It's already like 2 years late from when it was already an old game.
It's just I'm not optimistic. Look, what the weird part is, like Air, like the Southeast Asian publisher, I forgot who it was. They released Air in like some state in like closed beta like last year, but like that was it. Like it's making some weird launches in other like parts, like in other areas. What I think is gonna happen, I'm calling it. What's gonna happen with Air is nothing will happen for 2 years, and then all of a sudden the game will not be playable anywhere in 2 years, right? And then all of a sudden, Gameforge will just license it and say Air's coming out in 2 months, and they release some half-ass unfinished version, which is just what they did with Kingdom of the Fire 2. Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. So something like that could happen. Yeah, it's very strange. I'm kind of surprised that Kingdom of the Fire 2 came out like that too.
I got some overview of numbers for the whole industry. All right, for 2019. You want to take a look?
Yeah, I love digging into these industry numbers.
All right, so let's look at this big old chart right here. Oh God.
All right, I'm calling it. Console games and mobile games are going to be growing. Everything else is going to be shrinking.
So 2019, according to these dudes, which is Newzoo, smartphone gaming was 46%, which is smaller than what I thought. But I think this Newzoo one counts physical sales still. Oops, sorry. So this is still counting like the cartridges for Nintendo, the PlayStation games you buy at GameStop. So this is counting that. So keep that in mind. So we got 46% for mobile, 30% console, and PC, our boy, is only at 24%.
Our boy.
So
nice. Mobile's still growing. 9.7% year over year, the most growth.
I think PC is actually shrinking. So how does it make you guys feel to know the PC gaming revenue is shrinking?
Just embrace mobile. All right. I played a little bit of Brawl Stars this last week. Quite a bit of Brawl Stars, actually. I had some friends over. And we went ham on Brawl Stars last week. So there it is. I prefer SuperdataResearch, all right, to theirs. I think it's more interesting for the most part.
I think I have some SuperData stuff too.
They got the 2019 year in review. I gotta check that out. Did you see that one? It might be an old one actually.
I wrote down the numbers. I don't have an actual link to it though. So Fortnite made 1.8 billion a year according to SuperData.
I'm gonna link you the SuperData report. Take a look at it. All right. Let's look at the 2019 year in review. Pretty sure this is it's a new one. I mean, they can't do a year in review without the year being over. So let's skim through this one together. Should be some fun industry data on this one.
All right, I gotta open this with.
They do one of these every year. I do like that these are free, considering most of the SuperData and industry reports are generally very expensive.
All right,
that's true as well. Kick 55. As long as the nominal revenues are growing, the market share doesn't matter.
That's true, but I think actual revenue is shrinking for PC. So it's not just market share; it's nominal revenue.
Let's take a look at this.
So this one, remember, SuperData only looks at digital. So that's why console is a lot smaller here than it was in the other one, because this is only counting digital sales on console. And that's still the one area where it's still
consoles all physical still.
Exactly, there's still some physical going on in consoles.
But mobile is 64.4 billion versus digital PC. But the PC games are basically all digital anyway. When was the last time you bought a PC game in a CD and installed it? Like never, right? Do you remember the last time you did that? GameStop used to have a PC section literally 5 years ago, and they got rid of that 5 years ago. There's no more PC games in physical format.
No, there aren't.
Yesterday, Dedicated Duck, I ain't buying it. The only time you'd ever use a CD is maybe if you want to install Windows XP for whatever reason. Otherwise, you install it from a USB anyway. Yikes. Yeah, I haven't used CDs in forever.
Even physical games are kind of cheating now. Like if you bought the Spyro game or the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, if you bought a physical copy, the disc that it came with only had one of the first stage on it. The rest had to be downloaded. So it wasn't even you didn't get the full game on the disc.
Alta, do you see how much money Fortnite made in 2019?
Yeah, 1.8 billion.
It's a good chunk of change, boys. 1.8 billion. Free-to-play gaming accounted for 4 out of every $5 spent on digital games in 2019, thanks to mobile games.
Yeah, number 2 here, Dungeon Fighter Online, 1.6 billion. Honor of Kings, 1.6 billion. And League of Legends, 1.5 billion. So guys, Dungeon Fighter Online makes more money than League of Legends.
Isn't that amazing?
Honor of Kings, the shitty mobile MOBA, makes more money than League of Legends.
It's insane. League of Legends was before like firmly number 1 or 2 area.
Yep.
But Dungeon Fighter Online, guys, is the most popular free-to-play game. I'm curious if this list includes World of Warcraft. That'd be pretty interesting to see. But these look at the most. These look at only free-to-play games on that chart. The buy-to-play list is not that exciting. FIFA 19 made 786 million apparently.
WoW was going down, but they said they had a huge uptake with the classic launch.
Pokemon Go still made an insane amount of money. Pokemon Go, oof. $1.4 billion. Is it amazing Pokemon Go almost made as much money as League of Legends?
Yep.
Insane. Yeah, I wish this included World of Warcraft's revenue, but it's been really hard to get a good look at how much money World of Warcraft is making. I mean, Blizzard's been pretty mum about it, and these industry reports rarely spell out World of Warcraft by itself. I think some of the old Super Data reports did have it like 2-3 years ago, but it's not really meaningful today. I just haven't seen a good number for World of Warcraft like this year. Or honestly, even like Final Fantasy 14 specifically, though, we do have a good proxy for that by just looking at the entire MMO division for Square Enix and just pretending it's all Final Fantasy 14, because Final Fantasy 11, it's pretty much a rounding error, and Dragon Quest Online isn't that popular. You have Mists of Pandaria on CD? Nice. There you go. You still have a PC game, Scars. Me too. Master of Time, I still see people playing Pokemon Go, like in the wild. When I go for a walk, people on their phone, I see them play Pokemon Go all the time. Yeah, it's not only is it alive, it's making $1.4 billion a year. It's insane. Fate Grand Order, boys, $1.2 billion. The Waifu Collector. A bunch of players playing Pokemon Go, exactly.
A lot of kids still play it too. I met a kid who he prefers Pokemon Go to the actual Pokemon Switch games. He'd rather spend $40 on Google Play gift cards so he can fund his Pokemon Go, currency, than buy the actual Pokemon game.
I'm actually amazed how much money the game's making, considering it's it seems like the monetization when it first came out, at least, was not like super gotcha style RNG, right? You call it, it seemed like pretty tame, the monetization for that game, and it still makes a lot of money, which kind of goes to show, I guess you don't need to go super like predatory to make tons of money. It seems like that game's monetization is fairly reasonable as far as mobile games go. Yeah, Pokemon Go is good for your health. It gets you walking and being outside, unless you were done with that one cheat that like everybody used apparently.
So what do you think of Candy Crush Saga making the same amount of money as League of Legends?
It's interesting that these super casual games are so popular. I'm not surprised though. Honestly, the player base is just enormous in those games. So have you seen the Sensor Tower's top worldwide revenue 2019?
Let's see this one.
Oh, I've never even heard of CoinMaster.
No.
What the hell is CoinMaster? Everything else on this list I've heard of at least, right? But apparently CoinMaster is a top tier game, boys.
CoinMaster. Where does that? I didn't even see that.
And the overall revenue, number 9.
Oh, number 9, CoinMaster. I see it. Nope.
Roblox made $71 million in revenue on mobile. Roblox is absolutely killing it.
I think the biggest games among like kids are still Fortnite, Roblox, and Minecraft.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, everybody knows about Minecraft. I feel like Roblox doesn't get like the oomph it deserves. It doesn't get this cred it deserves. But they're killing it. The game is huge. It's like on par with Minecraft probably, or like it's close to it. It gets no respect. It doesn't get respect on the streets. All right, it ought to.
So 2020, are we gonna get any of these Kickstarter MMORPGs to be actually released? I'm talking about the classics like Paragon, Crowfall,
Chronicles of Valyria,
Azure Creation,
Crowfall, Star Citizen. No. Honestly, none of those games will come out. None. Zero. Zilch.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, none. They did say Astro Creation did come out and say they're going to be doing their alpha sometime in 2020. And that's for the PC game. I put the news on MMOs.com again. I'm still, I wanted to come out, but I'm seeing how much of a disaster Astro Creation Apocalypse was. The game averaged like 3 players online now, so it's totally dead. They did come out and say, Intrepid is we're going to release Alpha 1 sometime in 2020. And they said that on January 1st. So they have until the end of the year to release some version of the alpha. And I don't think it's going to be like a particularly, in-depth or close to release version of the alpha. And it will not be under NDA. So whatever they do release, everyone will be able to see. And I think 2020 will kind of let people will realize with this alpha whether the game is going to happen or not. And I think based on what we see with that alpha, we can pretty much instantly write it off or not. So I've kind of already wrote it off in my own mind, but for some reason, I'm still hoping they do a good job.
And I want to talk about one more thing real quick. And maybe if you guys are more into details, you can actually read this full thing. But Star Citizen released a 2018 financial post with all a bunch of numbers, charts, and all that. Mm-hmm. And if you look at their total income, it's a good chart right here. Every year, right, they're going up. There's a bad chart because it's like black on black. But so every year their revenue has gone up pretty much. Not every year, but like this 2018 was their best year yet, and I think 2019 is probably even higher than this. So people are still giving them money, and the biggest chunk here is pledges / the big number you see on the crowdfunding. Yeah. So they're making a ton of money still, and I feel like they can keep this going for as long as people give them money. So I don't think it's going to crash and burn.
Subscription revenue for Star Citizen is all-time high. Guys, they have peak subscribers in Star Citizen, and it still didn't come out. Yes. I mean, there are people since 2013. There were, oh yeah, bro, I got monthly subscriptions to Star Citizen. Yeah, man, I can't wait till it comes out. I can do all this shit, and they're still subscribed. There are people that probably subscribed for 6 years to Star Citizen, and you're subscribed to like this game that didn't quite release yet. It's kind of like a tech demo right now with this starfighting mode where you just kind of battle like the MMO stuff, and the big promises and the cool stuff of Star Citizen really haven't happened yet. Yeah,
but I think there's a set number of people that are going to keep giving them money. So I don't think it's going to crash and burn this year. I think it's going to keep going at the current pace. So no big updates this year, I don't think.
Chaos Shield of 30 months in a row. You're late, but your message always on time in my heart. Telling me to uninstall F14 and read more of Echo. It's remarkable that Star Citizen hit an all-time high in revenues. And the way this is going, there's no rush. There's no guys, we need to get this game out. Let's wrap it up. No more new features, nothing. Just make it happen. That's never going to happen with the revenue constantly flowing in. So don't expect anything. I'm not expecting much progress on this front.
But I mean, they are putting, to their credit, they are putting these statements out. I don't know how, again, I didn't read the full thing. I don't know how exactly this is. But they have a huge staff. So if you look at the head count, they have 521 people on staff in 2018.
Dwarf Knox with this tier 1 subscription. Much love. Much appreciated.
So we'll see if they can, what happens here. But there is a lot of people, boys.
One day, boys. One day. One day these Kickstarter games are going to come out. And that's maybe another reason why I'm excited for TemTem. It was a Kickstarter announced game. But I could tell from the Kickstarter, whoa, I was hesitant when I first heard of it, but I watched the video. I'm like, okay, based on this video, they're showing me gameplay. They're showing me real content. The most frustrating thing is you look at a Kickstarter and you see character creation and a guy running around an empty field. A guy running around an empty field is not gameplay. That's literally default Unreal Engine assets and just running around. Anyone can install Unreal Engine today, load up some store-bought backgrounds, and show a character running around in a forest or some fields. That's nothing. But when I saw the UI, the gameplay for TemTem, I'm like, whoa, this game is actually happening. And they went from announcing their Kickstarter in 2019 to releasing their early access this month. So they're moving really quickly. And you can usually tell how far a game actually is in process by looking at their Kickstarter and whatnot. And what's really remarkable for me, though, is I'll take Camelot Unchained. They have not released a single new gameplay trailer for Camelot Unchained since 2016. Did you know that, Altai?
I did not know exactly that.
So every time I cover Camelot Unchained in our news video, I look for new gameplay videos in the official channel, right? The only one I can find is from the Dragon Con presentation in 2016. And I keep reusing that one 2016 video. How have they not shown any new real gameplay since then? Because there's so little to show, I guess.
It is crazy. And when we started MMOs, right, we were excited because there were so many of these games in Kickstarter in early access mode, and we're oh, there's so many games to cover. We're so excited, but literally none of them have launched.
Yeah.
So Legends of
Yeah.
Aria came out. That's what Charge Online is called now, and I don't think it's been doing well. It actually went free to play, so you can try it on Steam, but I don't think it's doing particularly well. Why don't we take a look?
Honestly, I say it's worth trying only because it is different. It does feel a bit like LB Online to a degree, but like less PvP, more Ultimate Online. And they're doing. Look, I don't want to call the game innovative, but it kind of by default gets called innovative because like it's really just a reclone of Ultimate Online and old school RuneScape, and that alone makes it different from so many other games. But then again, you could just play old school RuneScape. You could just play, Ultimate Online private servers and get the same experience. But for that reason, I still recommend just trying it because it does feel different than all the other flavors of Korean MMORPGs and whatnot.
And like I said, it is free now, so it does. I mean, the reviews are quite mixed here, but
I mean, numbers of Steam have went up, and it's not available just on Steam as well. I mean, most of the hardcore fans have been playing the game off Steam. The game launched on Steam relatively recently. Well, August of 2019, right, was when it released on Steam, but it's been out in numerous betas off Steam. So plenty of people that actually really like the game are playing off Steam as well. So numbers aren't as bad as they seem. Though obviously not particularly great either. And it's free to play, so it costs you nothing to check it out. I mean, it's an MMO, and when your player bases are low, you really do have to go free to play. Like there's no option to charge money when your game is basically a low player base because MMO thrives on community. It's a network effect, and if you have no players, there is no network effect.
Oh, Zima spoken.
Legends of Aria is a duker, he says.
All right.
But he spelled duker like the Duke of our country rather than like a duker, which is actually poop. Maybe he just really likes the game. He's referring to as a class of nobility. Arrested Pepperoni Wildstar.
I cannot believe NC Soft just shut Wildstar down. We should like petition to buy it for like $10 and just put up our own server.
Yeah, I would love
classic Wildstar.
NCSoft, I'd pay you more than $10 for Wildstar. Okay, give me the server code, give me everything. I'll buy it. The official license. All right, 10 Gs. That's the MMOs.com offer for Wildstar. All right, the 10 G. That's a real game. Okay, I think we offer like $1,000 for like a really shitty Korean or Chinese game, but I would love to have a real game like Wildstar. All right, for like, but they're not going to sell it, obviously.
Yeah,
I mean they could sell it for more if they wanted to. They shut it down completely. But it'd be cool to have a Well, I mean, are there any Wildstar private servers?
I don't know. It's a good question. Probably not.
I don't think so either. Let me check. Yeah, it'd be cool if they have, but okay, there have been some in active development apparently. 2 emulators going for it, but that was a year ago. I don't think we saw any updates since then, so I don't think there's any official, not any like ones making good progress, unfortunately. But it'd be cool if they get it. And it is sad to see like a full blown MMORPG. Say what you will about the game. I mean, there's a world there. I mean, there's some like a few things felt really good about Wildstar. The movement and just running around in combat, I thought felt really good. A lot of MMORPGs kind of screw that up. On that front, I feel like Wildstar did a good job. The UI needed work, but it ran smooth. I remember if you try to play the game on like 1920 by 1080, the UI was like 50% of your screen or more. If you didn't have a 2K resolution, just the UI kind of took over your monitor with that one.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but it's still sad to see it go. Like when you see like other MMORPGs shut down that nobody plays, it's not so sad. But seeing a game like Wildstar shut down feels bad, man.
Yeah, especially when you think there's enough there to keep it running. Like it's not going to be a huge moneymaker, but I feel like so many of these like Chinese, Korean games are still running with literally like 5 players, right? So why couldn't Wildstar just keep it running with 5 players?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Just if you give up on the games, give it to SubaGames,
Yeah,
and
they'll take anything. They take any slop.
SubaGames is still. There's some weird shit going on with SubaGames. Okay, I'm convinced this is some kind of like money laundering operation because like, how can they keep the lights on, Altai, with this portfolio of games? I mean, let's appreciate this portfolio for a moment. All right.
All right. What do we got here? We got Ace Online.
We got Ace Online. Maximum players 6. There are not more than 6 players on Ace Online right now. Okay. Look at their latest news announcements. Okay. Their latest announcement was in November 7th, 2018. Okay, it's like 2 years. Like 2018. It's not bad. And before that, these announcements, like if you scroll to the bottom, they're like in 2013, all right? They have an update to their rules in 2013. Then 3 years later, an announcement in 2016. 1 year later, like, they post like one announcement a year, okay? How are these guys still around? How like, and I still get like press releases from them sometimes. Like they made a partnership. I forgot where. Like closed beta on December 29th of Global Adventures on their homepage. That's not December 2019th this year. That's December 2019th, 2017. All right. Hey, that's like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. There's some weird shit going on with SubaGames for sure. Like I don't know what's going on. There's no way they're making money on that business. I know they had some weird announcement recently. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so apparently Axion announced a publishing deal for Mars Infinite Dimension with SubaGames for 5 countries, including. Okay, they got a new game coming out, boys. There's a partnership with Axion Games for Mars. I don't know what Mars Infinite Dimension is. That game, the fact that they chose to partner with SubaGames tells you the game is ass, like automatically. Like, there's like nobody that's like, you know what? You know who we should give our game to? Let's give it to SubaGames. You know, they're on the ball with their portfolio of titles. You know, you look at that website, you're like, no, this is like where games go to die, or they died already and they're resurrected. Nobody wants to announce that you're working with SubaGames. It is not a good like. You don't brag about that, all right? But apparently this game is launching
Look at
on
this
there.
sick game, Preston Tale. You can play on SubaGames, guys.
All right, check it out. First Tale is an oldie.
Oh yeah.
So if you search Mars, search Mars Infinite Dimension on Google. Mars. Let me give you. I can't even find anything about this game. They announced. I got the press release last month. They're going to be published by SubaGames. Nothing out there. Wait, there's a trailer on YouTube. There's a trailer. Okay, let's check it out. Let's check this. I've not seen this. I searched Google for this game. You find nothing. Ooh, I'm excited. We got some sci-fi.
Someone put the volume up here. It's unlisted. How'd you find this video?
I got an email about it.
Oh.
Yeah, Derpy. Maybe I'm burning bridges, but I'm keeping it real. All right. It's a CGI trailer though.
Boo.
No gameplay. Boo. Unimpressive. Yeah, skip around. There's no gameplay in here. But apparently this game's gonna be published by SuperGames sometime.
So we have no idea what it is. Great trailer.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is either. But apparently it's based on a franchise called Mars. I mean, they have. Apparently it's a franchise. Secret unlisted masterpiece. So since they sent that news out, like only 60 people even watched the trailer, so it's not obviously not doing great. I'm like Luna Online Reborn apparently is a thing on here as well, but I can't imagine anybody plays that either. It's just weird to see this company still around. They're doing some weird things. I don't know what's going on. This game's got 6 players online.
Well, how about we move on to the post game before they assassinate us for.
All right, we're talking some mad shit about them.
Their money laundering scheme is gonna get shut down if we keep going. So.
All right, fair enough,
guys.
All right, see you guys in the post game.
Take care.
Later for YouTube.